well, right, the most dangerous thing a cheeser can do is actually play standard and macro, because then you're preparing for all these things and you're just behind. So maybe there'll be something there. I think Trap really is a solid favorite in this one, though, as he comes into game number 1. In the bottom left-hand side, our red Protoss player is Trap.
And up at the top right-hand side of the map, we have our blue Protoss player. He is Haas. I agree with you, Wardy. I do think, like, there are very few people out there who don't think Trap is coming into this series without being a heavy favorite, right? He is very much so the heavy favorite coming into this. But I do think, like, Haas, if we take in consideration the main opponents I would say he has to defeat in his region to top the region to make it to the stage and everything are the Protoss players. I actually think he does have some really cool tricks in PvP specifically, and I actually think his macro, like, again, like, it was a year ago, I don't want to put too much weight onto it, but I have seen Haas defeat or even take singular maps off of some really solid, literal global level Protoss players with macro games and kind of like weird wonky decision making in those macro games.
Do you think he gets to play a macro game here, though? He went Nexus first. Trap gets to see it right away. So Trap gets to make the decision of, he actually decides after seeing the Nexus first to still put down the second gateway. He could have just gone one gate expand himself, but he puts down gateway 2 anyway. And now he's really got a choice, Trap, of whether he actually tries to go for his own expansion, or if he wants to try and proxy something and really punish Haas for just being that much later on the Cybercore. I mean, the Cybercore is going to finish from Trap as it starts here from Haas, so he's got a huge advantage on Warp Gate.
Interesting. Haas's probe is actually going to find the probe out there for Trap, and Trap is winning the little duel between these two probes by a good bit. He has 2 extra hits on Haas's probe. But just having an eye on it does sort of make it a little bit easier to try and identify, is there an immediate proxy? But the proxy's on the other side of the map.
Exactly. It's really smart. Trap sent out a second probe to make it look like there's not going to be a proxy, when in reality there is going to be a proxy. So it's a really good mind game.
Still made a Zealot, though.
Who?
Haas still made a Zealot, and he's actually sending it around the map now.
I think you just need kind of something, just because you don't have a lot of pressure, right? You see these Adepts now, maybe that Zealot pulls back, but if you can keep those units at home, it buys you more time to get, you know, the units of your own out, because your Cybercore was still late. So even though you kind of know maybe it wasn't a proxy, because the Zealot isn't going to help too much against a proxy anyway, most of the time, so I don't mind keeping the one Zealot and actually just using that, because already you can see here, these Adepts are sat at home, and they're not coming across the map, as Trap will expand off the back of a proxied Stargate.
Yeah, I'm sure that right now Haas is hoping that these Adepts would have moved across the map or something along those lines, so the Zealot could have run in and caused a little bit of havoc, but like you were saying, it at least does buy some time. Haas still has the ability to do that full wall, has a couple of Stalkers around that. Well, we'll see if they're going to be in position for the Oracle, as they are already moving to the main base, which is probably where they're going to want to be.
Yep, no, they're getting into the right position for sure, and in general, as long as this Oracle doesn't do damage, Trap should just be a few works ahead, you know. Trap decided, hey, look, I'm going to build the Stargate before I expand. So that's an investment, as we obviously see the Adepts blocked out there. And now Trap's just going to be on his way to a Twilight, so he'll have a slightly faster Twilight. That's the one thing I will say, right? That his tech is much faster, even after going Stargate first. So double Oracle, and you're still going to have the faster Blink. There's something to be said about that. So that will be what Trap has in his favor, plus the Oracle to try and claw back from this 6-worker deficit.
Yeah, kind of interesting also here is that Haas just let the shield battery finish because the Adepts for Trap were still waiting to try and get in. So it does fully wall him off. He's going to have to take that out later on if he wants to try and move out. But in the meanwhile, that does mean that Trap basically has full map control. There's no way for Haas's units to even get out of the base until something like Blink finishes up or the shield battery is killed, which the Adepts are working on. But shield battery in the main base on top of the 2 Stalkers, still not going to be enough if those Stalkers aren't quite in position, and a devastating amount of damage already done.
Yeah, you're going to see 9 workers going down, 10, 11. That's brutal, because he barely even got the shields off one of those Oracles as well, so they are healthy to come back later. And now the only advantage that that Haas had was the worker count. That's gone. So now he's behind on workers. Okay, his Blink is actually about even, to be fair, in the end. Trap didn't get to start his up right away. But then you look elsewhere, and I just feel as though with those Oracles still out the map, Trap's going to have a pretty good time. He's already dropping down the Dark Shrine. He'll go more probes. And yeah, this is obviously just massive damage. 5 workers killed. Dark Shrine on the way up. Blinks are going to be even. The one thing I will say Trap, or Haas actually did have, is he actually does have a better Stalker count right now, so that is something at least.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel better about that if he was already most of the way across the map and ready to try and do something with it, but it's just going to be so difficult for him to actually ever move out, because in the meanwhile, he's just going to be losing workers, and in the meanwhile, Trap is just going to be building up his own Stalker count. He's already been able to warp in another 3. We see that Haas is taking out his gateway rather than the extra shield battery, which I have to imagine is a mistake, and yeah he's going to recorrect that.
Yeah, gateways, you kind of need the extra shield battery, not so much. Robo is on the way, so at least DTs will not be in a position to just straight up end the game. In theory, there should be detection available from Haas, so that is good news, but Trap will also be the first player to go to a 3rd base. And obviously that's just where that additional worker count is going to be aid him a lot, just that extra set of minerals already there and ready to expand with.
So Roddy kind of unintentionally maybe predicted what's about to happen here, which is Haas. Granted, Haas had a lot of other things going wrong with the oracles coming in, but Haas just doesn't have any detection. His robo is just now finishing up, but if you have 3 DTs that split up between 2 bases, that one observer is going to feel like it takes a really, really long time to get out and get into the right position.
And seeing as these DTs are going to get straight into the natural, obviously if you can split them up as well, the observer has to go one place, then the other. 2 DTs together are going to go into the main, 1 into the natural, so the observer's already popped out, and the DTs, looks like the Stalker's moved to see them. Observer was just on the map a little bit, so that is going to be already 6 workers going down. That other DT on the low ground should try and get out of there. You can see him try to blink after, but it looks as though Trap's going to keep that one alive.
Yeah, going to be a little bit frustrating. 7 more workers is still already a lot more damage than he's willing to take right now. 3rd Nexus, also going to be much more delayed compared to Trap's. And, well, Trap is... He's got his Stalkers still out on the map and everything. The Oracles are still maneuvering around, and looks like Stalkers for Haas. They were looking for an opportunity to maybe snag something, but just barely missed the Oracles. At this point, Trap is just content sitting back, building up his army, because he knows the longer this game goes on, the more his economy is going to put him ahead.
Yeah, Trap doesn't need to do anything, right? He's got an Immortal coming up. He knows he just needs to be safe. He's even putting stasis wards down. He is making sure he is as safe as possible when it comes to defending, and that's all he needs to be. Is Haas adds on extra gateways, the Warp Prism starts up. He is, like you say, ready in the attack. So Trap just needs to sit back and defend. And honestly, it looks as though that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to get his charge up to work with as well. So all of that coming up here. Trap is going to be looking amazing in this first map against Haas.
Yeah, really, really stellar position. Haas knows it. It is going to be all off the back of that. It's a really, really great start with this Stargate opening, just massacring the probes. So we'll see what Haas can do with this particular game now. But I think that Haas may already sort of be in his head accepting the fact that, yeah, this might be just going to a game 2 very soon.
Oracles are back as well, right? And that's just the last thing you want, is you're already kind of all in. It makes you even more all in, as we do see the stasis wards doing fine. Super battery keep himself alive for a while. Haas doesn't even try and see the fight out as he taps out GG fairly quickly, and Trap goes up 1-0.
Yeah, just super solid game there from Trap. It started off with the Nexus first there, like you were saying, from Haas, which, funny enough, is actually what also happened with the one game that Haas took off of Trap last year in that summer DreamHack season that I was talking about. But clearly things going a little bit differently this time. Trap, with that proxy Stargate, doing a great job, not only with like the Oracle micro and everything, but also just Haas, he had the shield battery there, so 1 Oracle wouldn't have been enough. Trap waited for the 2 Oracles. I don't even know that he actually necessarily had vision of the shield battery in the main base or anything, but he decided to wait for the 2 just to be ready for the chance of a shield battery. And then you can also see the Stalkers are slightly out of position, so it's even difficult for them to start whittling away at this Oracle count. Yeah. The Stalkers have a hard time moving their way past the probes that are retreating, so the Oracles basically just get so much free time to wail away at those workers.
It's just not a good battery placement, really, is it?
Yeah.
You know, because he's basing the pylon, or the battery around that pylon on the right side, it's just kind of in the way, especially where the Stalkers already were. At that point, you kind of want to hit the Stalkers in your mineral line, but you know, obviously the reason they're forward is because he wants to do damage on the Oracle as it comes in. But then, obviously, the Oracles just run to the side, the battery blocks them a little bit, it actually makes it really, really awkward. And obviously, from that point, we were already talking about a bit of a done deal. That's just so much damage, and, you know, the advantage coming out of that was Haas had more Stalkers with Blink not even done, and it's like, well, you're not going to have more Stalkers for long when you're down that much economy.
Yeah, that is going to be a really, really tough start there for Haas. Now, Haas, again, he is the master of his bag of tricks, and he still definitely should have some bag of tricks up his sleeve somewhere out there ready. And I think what's interesting to me is that this is a group with 3 Protoss players, right? We have Haas, we have Trap, we also have Zaun. And I do think that a lot of players will kind of come into this group thinking like, okay, Trap or Zaun, who's probably more likely like beatable in this? And I could see, you know, Haas kind of saying like, well, maybe I can have a better chance with Zaun. So do I want to reserve some builds or something there? Or do I just have to try and bust out everything and throw whatever I have, all of my bag of tricks immediately at this guy?
Well, on the bottom right-hand side, open Nexus first last game. Let's see what the heck he's planning this time. It is Haas in the bottom right.
And up here in the top left-hand side of the map, the red Protoss player from Afrika Freaks, he is Trap.
Haas is going to one-gate expand, which on a map like Lightshade is kind of scary. No ramp up into that natural, of course. This is the kind of thing that MaxPax does, and I think even Austin would say, for example, when I talk to him, he's like, you know, he's very well versed in what MaxPax does. He's like, well, only MaxPax can do this because he has such a good understanding of the all-ins, and even he dies to the all-ins because it's difficult to see them. You need really good information. Oh, this is more than just a gate expand. This is a straight-up cannon rush.
Ooh, this is actually going to be really tricky. So you can see that Haas has a lot of supply available and everything because he already has both of his pylons down. So Trap is going to come in over here. He's going to see the pylon at the front. He's going to see the probe at the low ground. It's going to look like this is a Nexus first, and he's going to allow Trap to look like, oh yeah, Trap, oh man, you're being so annoying. You're blocking my Nexus. Why are you doing this to me, man? I just want to expand. But in the meanwhile, he's got his pylons coming up. Can he get the full wall? He misses the wall!
Oh no, and the probe goes down, GG. Oh no, that was absolutely disastrous. Can you recover from this? I know I'm just saying GG kind of like almost instinctively, but like honestly, I mean, if this is like a ladder game or a less important tournament, you probably do just say, oh no. I guess at least it gets shut down like super quick, but that's a huge investment. A Forge that won't do anything. You can see how like the gateway is. That's his first gateway coming up behind the second, and Trap just immediately says, yep, I am fully aware of what you just tried to do here, and he's just going to proxy up another gateway and come full speed at Haas. And the only thing Haas could maybe do is get a cannon low ground to help defend, but I don't even like that.
Yeah, PvP is such a brutal matchup. He has another probe in there. He's going to try and do the rewall. He gets up a cannon, and he's going to get up another probe. Oh, actually, he does get up another pylon over there. Now, the problem is there are 2 stalkers on the way, though, Wardy. 1 cannon, which, by the way, can be attacked by 2 of these probes, which already 3 probes is enough to actually shut down the cannon for the most part. 2 probes is enough to soften it up enough that your 2 stalkers will be able to basically kill it before you lose almost anything.
Yeah, he's just going to focus on the probe first as well. A very small amount of mining time lost for what? A probe, another pylon invested, a cannon you had to cancel. These are all things which just add up in Trap's favor. He's actually going to proxy up the Robo. I thought it was going to be an additional gateway. I actually like the Robo a lot more. You can get an Immortal that's a little bit beefier in case there is a cannon defense. You can get the Prism and bypass that as well. There are just a lot of options, and obviously Haas is even trying to expand on 0 army supply in the game because his Cybernetics core is still unfinished. Oh, no.
That's, honestly, guys, I really want to try and sell this to you as something that you can bounce back from. You just can't, and he knows it. Trap takes a dominating